because there will never ever be another shred of normalcy after this.
Well, I was right about one thing. There's nothing normal about this.
You're supposed to be dead!
It seems that it's common for me to end a massive hiatus with a video about Helluva Boss, unless of course you're a Cartoonshi subscriber, at which case you've seen this whole setup before. By the way, my sing-song voice counterpart is too busy organizing some files at the moment. We could go on and on about the two elephants in the room, but I think that's better suited for another video. Let's talk about what we're here for, Helluva Boss, as it's my one character trait according to Kiwi Farms, and Nekokota. 2 years ago, a YouTuber by the name of Nekokota released a negative review of Abysmal Hotel. It was...
I get it, it's a show for mature audiences, but Angel Dust makes so many sex jokes that not even a middle schooler would laugh at it. I'm not saying you can't have lowbrow humor like this, but this is basically the only type of joke Angel Dust makes. Charlie is the princess of hell, yet the hotel is run down. Wouldn't, royalty have a bit more money? This is never explained. In this scene, we see Angel Dust feel bad for a split second. Where did that come from? I was under the impression that this dude was a cold asshole, and now all of a sudden he feels sorry for Charlie out of nowhere? That's not how character development works. Nobody flips a switch all of a sudden that quickly for no reason.
It was bad. In November 2020, I uploaded a response to it, and Koda calls it the only good response to said video. Flash forward to mid-January, about a week before You Can't Defend releases, and she leaves the internet. In March, she DMs me on an alt, and we got to know each other. She told me that she was planning a video on episode 2 of Helluva Boss, and how it supposedly poorly handles Stolas' arc with Octavia, but decided to scrap it because... well... Then she dips again until November of 2021, where she makes an official return, and actually learns how to analyze media properly. She reveals that she still wants to make that Helluva Boss video, and since she's gotten better, I say go for it. Although she still asked me to help with the script. Unfortunately, while that happened, I was dealing with things related to, trauma. Yeah, that's a new thing, we'll get you up to speed soon, so I wasn't able to help with the script. And looking at the finished product, I wish I did. We start off with an analysis of an episode of The Owl House. Now, I've not seen The Owl House, and I don't plan to for quite a while. A YouTuber told me it was bad once, and I trusted him. This analysis of the episode is Koda's criteria for a good story about accountability. Despite taking up the thumbnail and beginning of the video's title, you could largely replace this with any other well-executed story regarding accountability. This is primarily a video about Stolas, and this is merely the introduction. So what exactly is Koda's criteria?
Near the end of the episode, Amity releases all her frustrations with her father, mainly that he doesn't pay attention to her, and she doesn't feel like he's been present as a father.
See? You don't talk to us anymore. You're too busy making these monsters for the Emperor, and Mom's too busy trying to dye my hair green.
I like your new hair color. It's abomination colored.
Finally, someone gets it. Can you tell Mom that?
I'll talk to her.
It's a start.
This right here is what solidified my love of the Owl House. Amity just vented that she felt her father wasn't really present, Alador says he's gonna try and do better, and instead of accepting it, she says she's willing to see how he acts. Here we see that Amity wants to have a better relationship with her father, but she's also not willing to let go of what he did. She wants her father to do better, but she's not gonna drop what he did. Any other kids show would have made him hug and make up, but the Owl House doesn't.
Not everything can be fixed with a simple apology, as much as some individuals would like to believe. There's always lingering issues that need to be addressed, and it's for the very reason why I barely upload. For Amity, and not entirely forgiving her father for whatever the fuck he did, it shows a mature and adult understanding of forgiveness, accountability, and most importantly, takes a massive dump over change your mind, which I'm all for. Following this episode, we supposedly start to witness Amity's father displaying positive change, for instance this scene, which I don't know a single thing about.
At the moment, he obviously wasn't pleased with Amity's reaction, but given how he acts after this episode, we know he's at least trying to make up for his actions.
Odalia! The Emperor is planning to wipe out everyone with a draining spell, and our abomatons are helping him do it. You already knew?
This is an apt example of redemption done right. So what does Nekokota consider redemption done wrong?
I'm gonna get hate for this, aren't I? I want to focus on the Helluva Boss episode Loolooland, as I think it's a good example in terms of how not to hold a character accountable for their actions.
Oh, shit.
The central focus of episode 2 of Helluva Boss is the conflict between Stolas and Octavia. In the past, the two had a healthy and deep bond.
Demonstrates that he never really paid all that much attention to her emotions when she was younger.
This is untrue, Koda. Did you forget the entire opening sequence of the episode where he goes out of his way to comfort her when she is distressed?
I was looking all over the palace, and I couldn't find you anywhere.
When you're scared, and you don't know where I am, you must remember, no matter what happens to me, I will never be far away from my special little starfire.
Also, nice job for getting to play the whole scene. Let's do this again.
Demonstrates that he never really paid all that much attention to her emotions when she was younger.
You used to cry such tears of joy at this show.
Oh no. I'm not going to deny, Stolas' oblivion is ridiculous, but to state that he doesn't care about Octavia is just flat out wrong. As stated, Stolas and Octavia used to have a healthy father-daughter relationship until sometime into her teenage years. Octavia's once seemingly simplistic home life has been thrown into disarray. Her parents are consistently at each other's throats. Her father openly cheats on his wife. Yes, I know Vivzy Pop has stated that Stella is abusive, but remember what I said about outside media last time.
Supplementary media does reveal that the exterminators have angelic weapons that are the only methods of killing demons. These weapons are generally spears, and occasionally they leave these spears behind. Vaggie refers to Angel's actions as territorial genocide despite having not used these weapons. And even then, when it comes to media critique, I generally disagree with using supplementary media to justify flaws, as any piece of media can just commit retcon after retcon on a whim.
3 days later.
How dare you? What do you think the rest of the Go-Eater family will think? And I
don't care!
Why the fuck did you upload this just 4 days before the release of a new episode? In this specific episode, Octavia is brought to a theme park where she does not wish to go. Her father, for no good reason mind you, which she makes a point of addressing, brings the man he cheats on his wife with and consistently flirts with him right in front of her. He consistently disregards her obvious distress, and even when she storms off in a fit of sadness, still halts his pursuit of her to spend time with Blitz. Needless to say, he's quite a douchebag, and the episode wastes no time to establish this fact. What it doesn't establish is that Octavia fully forgives Stolas.
This scene could have been impactful. Stolas is trying to explain himself, but he simply can't. The best he can give is empty words. Octavia says, "Are you gonna run away and leave me behind?" And Stolas says, "No." And Octavia forgives him.
Where? One of Octavia's main fears is losing her father forever. Stolas, when pressed about this issue, assures her that this is not something he would ever intend to do. I have no doubt in my mind that Stolas intends to keep the status quo with him and Blitz as indicative by later episodes. But what seems to be Octavia's main fear, the fear of loss, the fear of abandonment, is something that Stolas has no intention of doing. This one fact comforts and reassures Octavia. There is no "I forgive you" line, there is a hug and a smile, and that's it. While in the Owl House, a hug is symbolically representative of an endgame for forgiveness between Amity and her father, this is not the Owl House, despite there being both owls and houses. And to seal the deal that Stolas has not been forgiven, here is her final line in the episode.
Thanks, Dad. You're okay sometimes.
This indicates that Octavia, while thinking well of her father, does not think the best of him, and that this does not occur consistently. Boom, I win again, now it's time for the victory lap.
Despite all he's done, despite him repeatedly ignoring how his daughter feels, despite Octavia earlier and now implying that this is a reoccurring long-standing issue, and despite her saying that he straight up ruined her home life, she forgives him.
You're okay sometimes.
You're telling me that empty words is enough for Octavia to forgive all the issues that Stolas has been causing?
You're okay sometimes.
If Octavia had stayed mad or showed that she doesn't forgive Stolas, that would have sent a good message.
You're okay sometimes.
I'm not saying she can't want to forgive him, but do what Amity did. Show she's willing to see things out, but isn't gonna buy empty words. This would be more consistent with the story, give Stolas time to grow, or give more space for drama with their family to grow.
You're okay sometimes.
It's implied through visual cues that she forgave him before that.
You're okay sometimes.
Octavia is being so inconsistent. The whole episode she's pissed, she's upset, she feels like her world is falling apart, and just empty words is enough to get her to forgive her father? People don't drop issues like that right away unless there's something minor like a person bumping into you.
You'd be surprised. What the fuck are you snickering about?
Amity is upset, her feelings are still present, and she shows that. Octavia drops them immediately.
Thanks, Dad. You're okay sometimes.
You play the fucking clip too? Alright, you're done. It's time for the kill shot. Episode 5 of Helluva Boss opens with Blitz and Stolas in the aftercare period of their common affairs. Episode 6 of Helluva Boss ends with Blitz and Stolas beginning their common affairs.
Well, I suppose you should.
When I was a kid and my parents didn't hate each other, my dad didn't flirt with a weird red dickhead the entire time.
Abandonment wasn't Octavia's only concern, it was also Blitz, but despite this fact, despite having the issues laid out right in front of him, things have not changed. And we begin to see the effects of this in episode 7. Stolas is alone. Completely and utterly alone. The dinner table with all 3 members of the Ars Goetia family present just 2 episodes prior is empty. At the end, it is implied in a line that Stella has moved out and they're sharing custody of Octavia.
3 days later.
You leave with Fia on weekends, but then you stay around the house despite everything.
Why? In the massive musical number that occupies the entire middle of the episode, we see this brief scene.
My dark lord, how the mighty do fall. You used to have a smoking wife, a kid, you had it all. I hope you didn't give it up so you and him could get it up.
The, albeit not real, but intentionally portraying real events, visibly disgusted Octavia walking away from her father. He saw the consequences of his actions and did nothing to fix them. And the consequences grew in scale until eventually Stolas is left with absolutely nothing. This is the inverse of the arc with Amity and her father, and it's fully intentional. I've seen it happen before. Sometimes when the problem is addressed, things still get worse.
I would accept this more if this was a sudden one-time change, but this is a larger, deeper issue with Stolas that, simply put, has not been addressed, and that Stolas does not even attempt to address.
Does that seem like the conflict was never addressed again? If you want to talk about Stolas' arc, use other episodes, because you're perfectly capable of doing it when it aids your point. You've run a lot as a critic over the past 2 years. This video is bad, but not nearly as bad as your last outing, but stay away from the Helluverse. That shit is cursed for you, and it's like the—
Apologies for the interruption. My associate doesn't seem to know when a joke goes too far.
You know, ever since I've been gone, humanity seems to have slipped into some sort of, cancel culture.
Cancel them.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This episode has quite a lot of issues. The pacing is rather messy and only bogs down the emotional core. Get rid of the subplots, they only drag us down. And this scene here—
After watching this episode several times over, one scene stuck in my head. And originally—
Nice job, buddy. You finally edited my crackling audio.
Octavia?
Leave me alone!
Octavia! I think I'm supposed to be bodyguarded right now. Where is Blitzy? He's my knight in shining armor, not you littler ones.
Could have been done a lot better to illustrate Stolas' 2 priorities and how they clash with each other.
Now, to be fair, maybe Stolas was torn between his feelings for Blitz and him wanting to spend time with his daughter, but if that's truly the case, show it. I want to see Stolas hitting on Blitz and then hesitating once he sees his daughter upset. I want to see Blitz make the move and then Stolas hesitating and pushing back. Then I could give Stolas credit, but he's the one making the move on Blitz, so I can't buy that.
Your statements here don't apply. Stolas is completely oblivious and wants to have his cake and eat it too. But once Octavia storms off, the conflicts you suggest should be used here, I agree.
Wow, man, you're really starting to make this sad. You know, if you suck, you suck.
So what on earth was this nightmare? Well, it was a scrapped video of Koda's from December of 2020. It was clearly outlined in December of 2020 and still has that December of 2020 stench permeating it. The aspect of the Owl House was better suited as a tangent and was clearly inserted in, and despite the flaws already present in the script, it didn't account for the fact that there are more episodes of this series now. I understand your philosophy of letting this conflict stand on its own, but it's clearly the start of a large character arc. And you know this for a fact, because although you haven't seen every episode, you have told me that you've seen episode 7, and you know that Octavia ends up leaving him again. My friend, my dear friend, you have taken yet another L to me. This video was bad in December of 2020, and it has only gotten worse with the passage of time, and to steal a quote from our last outing—
it would basically need to be remade from the ground up.
Wow, it took you 11 months, but you finally managed to make another video. I'm impressed.
Oh, you. I'm surprised you're here. I thought you had another bunk server call to attend.
Oh, you fool. I wouldn't miss another farted out video of yours for the world. Remember when the editing was all dynamic? Remember when you actually tried? Did you at least get your references in?
Listen, Bozo, it's been 11 months, as you said. Editing's clearly your department. I mean, you hang with those commentary freaks all the time. I'm just the script girl. Yeah, it could have been done a lot better, but I mostly wanted to prove a point. Nekokota is cringe.
Listen, whatever allegory for the nonsense that goes on in our head we're trying to make here is honestly pointless. What matters is that this is a toxic work environment. If the boss lady were still on the premises, this would not be happening. Look, once this whole mess is finally over, we merge back. And if you don't agree to my terms, one of us is out.